can never be the same again.
Fortune teller's last reading. The town of Greystone had always been a place where whispers carried faster than the wind. Old stories about haunted lanes, cursed woods, and strange disappearances clung to its cobblestones like ivy. But there was one story, people said, that no one dared to retell after midnight, the story of Madame Rosella, the fortune teller who knew too much. Madame Rosella's little parlor sat at the end of Blackthorn Lane, a narrow street that seemed forever damp and smelling faintly of mildew. By day, her window glowed with the dull red of velvet curtains, and by night, her sign, a crescent moon with an open palm, swayed silently in the cold wind. Most who went there did so out of curiosity, or on a dare. Some claimed she was just another trickster, reading expressions and tossing vague predictions into the air. But others swore she was the real thing. They said she could look at you for a moment and know the deepest secret you carried. It was one autumn evening when her final customer arrived. The man called himself Daniel Price. He was tall, with sharp eyes that never seemed to settle on anything for long. When he knocked on Rosella's door, the hour was late, too late for her usual business. She hesitated, but something in the man's voice when he asked to be let in made her step aside. Inside, the room was warm, lit by a dozen candles and the faint glow of a single lamp. Cards, crystals, and trinkets covered the table, each catching the light like fragments of stars. "Sit," Rosella said, her voice carrying a soft rasp. "You look troubled." Daniel chuckled, though it sounded forced. "You could say that. They told me you're the best at what you do." "I need answers, madam, not games." Rosella studied him. His face was pale, but his hands, when he laid them on the table, were trembling. "Very well," she said. She shuffled her tarot deck, the sound of the cards like dry leaves stirring. "Ask your question." He leaned forward. "Tell me about my future. All of it. Don't leave anything out." Her hands moved without hesitation, spreading the cards into a fan. One by one, she turned them over. The first was the Tower, a card of sudden disaster. Rosella frowned. The second was death, not always literal, but rarely comforting. The third was the Devil. Daniel shifted in his chair. "Bad luck?" he asked, his voice thin. Rosella's throat went dry. The cards, she reminded herself, were symbols. Tools for guiding thought, but the way they lay before her now, in that exact sequence, sent a shiver crawling up her spine. "Your path," she said slowly, "is dark. Violence clings to it." "I see." Her voice faltered. For the briefest moment, she thought she saw blood pooling across the table, soaking into the velvet. She blinked, and it was gone. Daniel's eyes fixed on her. "Go on." Her hands moved to draw more cards. The Hanged Man, the Ten of Swords, the Moon, each darker than the last. "I don't understand," she whispered. But she did understand. She understood perfectly. The cards were telling her the truth. Rosella looked up into Daniel's face, and it was as if the veil had been lifted from her sight. She saw flashes, not of the past, not of some symbolic path, but of what he had done. A woman's scream, cut short. A knife gleaming in the dark. A shallow grave beneath rotting leaves. She gasped, snatching her hands back as though burned. Daniel smiled. "It was not kind. You see it, don't you?" he said softly. "You're not a fraud after all." Her pulse quickened. She wanted to end the reading, to tell him to leave, but something in his expression told her she wouldn't get the chance. "You've killed," she whispered. He tilted his head. "Go on." Her vision swam. More flashes came, faster now. She saw others. A man dragged from his car. A child's toy dropped in the dirt. Blood on Daniel's hands, his clothes, his face. "You've killed so many." The room seemed to shrink. The candlelight flickered wildly though no draft stirred the air. "Yes," Daniel said. "And now, you'll tell me something else." He leaned close, his voice low and urgent. "Tell me if I'll be caught." Rosella's hands shook as she reached for the deck, but before she touched it, a vision struck her like a hammer. She saw Daniel's face, cold, pale, his body lying twisted on the floor of her own parlor. The candles had burned down to nothing, and outside, dawn crept grey and merciless across Blackthorn Lane. And then she saw herself, standing over him, her hands bloody. Her breath caught. She tried to look away, but the image would not release her. Daniel's smile widened. "What do you see?" Rosella swallowed hard. I see justice." He narrowed his eyes. "Don't lie to me." "I see your death," she said finally, her voice breaking. "Here, tonight." The words hung in the air like smoke. Daniel laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. "My death, at your hands. Don't insult me, madam." He reached into his coat, and for a moment, she saw the gleam of metal. But before he could move further, the lamp flickered out. The room plunged into darkness, broken only by the trembling light of the candles. A wind that should not have existed swept through the room, scattering the cards. They spun across the table and floor, every one of them landing face up, every one of them showing death. Daniel's laughter faltered. He looked around, suddenly uneasy. "What trick is this?" Rosella's voice rose, stronger now, as though carried by something beyond her. "You asked for truth, and the truth has found you. The dead you silenced are not silent tonight." The air grew heavy. A whispering filled the room, dozens of voices, then hundreds, layered and broken, pressing against Daniel from every corner. His bravado cracked. "Stop it," he hissed. "Stop it." But the whispers grew louder, forming words, names, cries for justice. The shadows on the walls wreathed, stretching long fingers toward him. He backed away, but there was nowhere to run. Rosella felt the presence surge through her, a force older and stronger than she could comprehend. She lifted her hand, and Daniel's body jerked as though pulled by unseen strings. His scream was drowned in the chorus of voices as the shadows swallowed him whole. When the room finally stilled, he was gone. Only his coat remained on the chair, empty. The candles guttered out one by one, until only silence remained. Rosella sat alone at her table, trembling. She looked down at the final card lying before her. It was not death. It was justice. And for the first time in her long career, Madame Rosella understood that some fortunes were never meant to be told. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, remember to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves a good scare.